MicroTeaching.
All right, today we're talking about pros and cons of teaching grammar in the classroom. And we're going to move forward. Our learning intentions for today is that I'll show you, I hope that you have an understanding of why grammar is considered important and why it's considered outdated. You'll understand the pros and cons of explicit versus intrinsic instruction of grammar. You'll be able to make summary statements about the role of grammar, and you'll be able to use grammar in a concrete situation or put it together in a new way. Our learning goals for today include comparing learning grammar while writing to learning grammar in isolation, and critiquing short paragraphs containing grammatical errors before and after being taught the rules. So what is grammar? Grammar is the way in which words are put together to form proper sentences. Grammar is the sound, structure, and meaning system of a language, and the study of the way the sentences of a language are constructed. So those would be the morphology or the syntax of a sentence. Morphology, how the words are put together so that they make sense. The syntax, of course, is how you put the words in order so that the words make sense. So I want you to give me words that you think of when you think of grammar. And I took a poll, and some of the words that I got were boring. Grammar's boring. I find it exciting, but most people think it's boring. Diction, people think diction when they think grammar, even though diction is speech. A lot of people equate grammar to the way people speak. Editing, you think grammar, for some reason people think that editing has more to do with grammatical errors than it does with voice or tone or structure of sentences. Syntactical, syntax is definitely grammar. It is how the words are put together to form sentences that are coherent. English class, most people equate grammar with being in an English classroom, yes, not a math classroom or social studies, and writing. Sorry, that went too fast. And writing has a lot to do with grammar. So what I'm going to do now is I have an activity for each of you that hopefully came off the printer. Okay, that did not come off the printer. So we're going to pause on the activity. But this activity gives us a paragraph. And in this paragraph, there are areas that are underlined that are grammatically incorrect. It reads, well, it's an other rainy day. I wonder what I will do. First, I think I'll take a walk around the neighborhood to stretch my legs. Second, I'll cook a big breakfast with toast, fruit, eggs, and bacon. After that, I might mow my lawn. It's getting pretty long. I'm not sure what I'll do after that. I guess I should go see my mother. I think she wants me to go grocery shopping with her. I have no idea why she can't just go by herself. Or, better still, she should ask my dad to go with her. I doubt he will want to go with her, though. He doesn't like going to the grocery store as much as I do. So if you notice, it's a little difficult to read because it's grammatically incorrect. Even when reading, grammar plays a huge part in what we see and what we do. Things that distract us or would distract us would be things like the first one that's underlined. Does anybody know what the distractor is? The grammatical error for the number one would be?
Another.
It's.
And I guess, would you need the comma?
You would need
the comma after.
You need the comma after well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you need an apostrophe in it's.
Mm-hmm.
And another is actually one word instead of an other.
It's a Facebook post.
Right? So yes, it does seem more like a Facebook post. It says, I will do. I wonder what I will do. Question mark.
That's not a question.
Wait, I'm like, what?
It's not a question. So grammatically, it's incorrect because the punctuation is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? So we go down. Second, there's no comma. And of course, neighborhood
It's spelled completely
wrong.
is spelled completely wrong.
Wrong.
So yes, neighborhood is spelled wrong. with toast, fruit, eggs, and bacon.
Toast, fruit, eggs sounds amazing.
Toast fruit eggs.
So it would simply be toast, fruit, eggs. So we see how it changes what we think of the paragraph when it's grammatically incorrect. Some of the myths we find about grammar, before we go back to that, some of the myths about grammar include grammar's boring. That's a con. That's something that goes against grammar. It doesn't have to be. Grammar does not have to be boring. You can play games to learn grammar. If the teacher shows that she has an interest or he has an interest in grammar, then you're interested in it. It's like anything else. If the teacher, the instructor, the person that's teaching you something really likes it, then you can get excited about it too. If that person is like, drudgery, you will feel the same way with learning it. So students enjoy it because of the logical sequence. There is something logical about grammar, and it builds confidence in writers. If you know the grammatical rules and how to create something that sounds like you're going to enjoy doing it. Some of the pros of grammar are, and a myth, is that it's not relative to life. We can show this as a pro because it is relative to life. It's just like basic math skills. The same way you talked about the toast that you wanted to have, the fruit juice toast. No, it's not fruit juice toast. It's not fruit toast eggs. It's fruit, comma, toast, comma, eggs, comma, items in a series. So it's like basic math skills. We create applications, and in those we need grammar. We need to be grammatically correct when we do college applications, job applications. We write emails. Our emails, especially at work, need to be grammatically correct. And for those people who aren't working jobs, who just may be domestic engineers, you write notes to your students, your children's teachers, and you want those to be grammatically sound also, because you want your children to be represented well when they go to school. Some other myths include the teaching of grammar is outdated. It isn't outdated for a new learner. While the Bible says there is nothing new under the sun, if you are new to this world, then you are learning everything anew. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to teach something that you may have known for a long time, but the person to whom you're teaching does not know it. So it is not outdated, especially for the learner. It builds effective communication through writing. So if you write effectively, then there's nothing outdated about being able to communicate effectively. There just isn't. It's already a part of the ELA curriculum. English language arts does build grammar into its curriculum. However, sometimes teaching it in isolation can be better because it may not work well with the reading, writing, and vocabulary that's within your basals. Also, the concepts can be skimmed over as part of the materials. So if you're skimming through it, you're not really touching on the concrete of the grammar that you need. So that could be iffy. The cons of teaching grammar. Students recognize errors but still don't know the reason for the error. One of the cons that people come up with teaching grammar is, yeah, they know to do it, but they don't know why. For example, you know that you need to put commas, but do you know that it's the reason behind that is there are commas in a series. There are items in a series that need to be separated. So they may not know rules. So here's my example. In the United States, we celebrate Christmas by giving and receive gifts and sing Christmas carols. To make this correct, it would have to read by giving and receiving gifts and singing Christmas carols. Very good. So we know that it should be that way, but do we know why it should be that way? Because it sounds better, is what most of us would say. It's not correct. It's not right. It doesn't sound right. But the reason would be is the sentence elements of equal grammatical rank should be expressed in parallel structures. So there's no parallelism. Parallelism has to be present. So if you have a gerund to begin, you must have a gerund throughout in order for there to be parallel structure within your sentence. Yes.
What is gerund?
Your gerund, that's wonderful. Your gerund is your ing.
Okay.
Right, is your ing. And studies have shown that among recent research studies, Not one justifies teaching grammar to help students write better. I'm sort of old school. I enjoy teaching grammar in isolation, but it was not, studies show that that's not necessary. Grammar and improving writing. Research strongly suggests that, Research strongly suggests that the most beneficial way of helping students improve their command of grammar and writing is to use students' writing as the basis for discussing grammatical concepts. They agree that it is more effective to teach punctuation, sentence variety, and usage in the context of writing than to approach the topic by teaching isolated skills. So it's easier to learn grammar. If I were to stand here and teach grammar as, let's do all of these apostrophes, let's do all of these commas, let's do all of these sentence combining, let's do all of our conjunctions and our conjunctive adverbs and our coordinating conjunctions, it would be less effective than if we taught them all together. So since writing is recursive, that means you start and you continue over and over and over and over again. The continual revision and revising and editing gives the teacher the opportunity to guide students in their sentence structuring, their mechanics, and their usage, because it is recursive. This being the case, grammar instruction outside of writing is not as effective to the student. So if we're teaching it in isolation, the con is isolation. The pro is intrinsic. That means you teach it within the writing realm. The benefits of grammar. The benefits of grammar is that teaching concepts on subject, verb, sentence, clause, phrase, and related concepts for editing helps you with your sentence-verb agreement. Teaching style, you do that through combining sentences and generating sentences. You teach sentence sense through the manipulation of syntactic elements. You teach the power of dialect and dialect of power. Dialect being your voice. You can hear your voice so much better if you know how to punctuate a sentence. If you're using dialect, if you're using AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English, you are looking more to have an effect on your reader. You want your characters to sound a certain way, and through punctuation, through grammar, you can do that. So it's very important, especially dialectically. Teaching punctuation and mechanics for convention, clarity, and style. So, now that we all know that, let's evaluate. Here's our paragraph again. We'd gotten as far as the eggs, toast fruit eggs. If we go down, we'll see that she says, right before number 7, I have no idea why she can't just go by herself. That is a problem because
Herself is one word.
herself is one word. So, he doesn't like going to the grocery store as much as I do. Notice how that's correct, but the exclamation mark at the end tells you that this person shows the frustration that this person has with her mother not being willing to wait for her. Okay. Do we have any questions? Go ahead.
Is better still an issue, or is that just me?
Better still goes into your dialect. It goes into your voice. Better still, how you want it to sound, whether or not you want to hear this person's voice. This is something, it's not a formal piece of writing. So it's informal. And that's a good question because it does lend itself to grammar. If it were a formal piece of writing, you could not use better still. But with an informal piece of writing, then yes. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.